After 10 years of civil war with Maoist rebels and governed by an unpopular autocratic monarch, people were angry. Opposition leaders promised to bring peace and address the country's problems. The state retaliated with violence.
This was the intersection where Pradyumna was shot. Back in 2006, there were hundreds of thousands of people on this ring road surrounding the capital. After 19 days of protest, they managed to topple the royal government. It was a time of great optimism. But 5 years and 4 prime ministers on, people have started to question the success of the movement.
Prabha is greatly disappointed.
So many people were sacrificed, so many people were wounded, and now all that the leaders want is political power. When I think back on it, my heart becomes so heavy.
After the People's Movement, the monarchy was abolished. This used to be the royal palace. Now it's the foreign ministry. These people are queuing for passports. Almost 1,000 people leave the country every day in search of a better future. Suresh Chowdhury has come to Kathmandu from the countryside to get his documents.
There is no possibility of getting employment in this country. We've got democracy, but so what?
Service is poor. Like so much else in Nepal, it can be a frustrating experience.
At the time of a movement, there's always this euphoria and a sense that you can do anything. But I think almost what's more important is who organizes the reality that comes after the movement. The political parties and the Maoists who have been in charge of restructuring Nepal have not done a very sincere job.
5 years on, the optimism has given way to disillusionment. After all the promises of those 19 days of revolutionary drama, the process of enacting real reform has proved much more difficult. Sabina Shrestha, AlJazeera, Kathmandu.
France will enforce a ban on full face veils from next month, outlawing the garment virtually everywhere outside private homes. In recent months, leaders of Germany, France and Britain have all called on the Muslim community to become more integrated into mainstream society. Barnaby Phillips takes a closer look now at what this means in Britain.
If you want to find out about multiculturalism in Britain, East London is a good place to start. 100 years ago, the immigrants here were Jewish, more recently Bengali, and now Somali. We visited this women's group. They've all arrived in this country in the past 25 years. So, do they feel British?
Absolutely, but I also feel that I'm very Somali as well. I am both, and sometimes I find it quite odd that you get pressure to choose one or the other.
You have to blend and also at the same time keep your own. You don't forget where you come from.
This East London street market is typical. People of different races and all sorts of religions getting on just fine, trying to make a living. There is Islamic extremism in Britain, but it's not typical. However, the fear of it does provoke a strong reaction amongst some parts of the white community.
It's our country! We're taking it back!
They're called the English Defence League, and they say they're a growing movement. Their mission is to defend English values against what they see as the creeping threat of Islam.
Muslims, in the name of Islam, are causing a lot of friction and a lot of bother. They're not integrating.
We don't want 5 years from now everybody turn around and suddenly we're in a dilemma where there's a bomber in every town.
This man is an expert on violent and extremist groups in Britain.
When you see the English Defence League march, you'll often find a counter-demonstration group, like the Muslim Defence League is a new group that's formed. And the two groups do sort of need each other. They do need their enemies to define themselves against. So you have this sort of spiralling where both groups inform each other of where they're going to be. They both turn up to the same marches, they both fight, and they both get more publicity as a result.
The Prime Minister worries that some Muslims define themselves only in terms of their religion. But it's difficult to impose a British identity on anyone. This country is still working out how to build a more coherent society in which everyone feels they belong. Barnaby Phillips, AlJazeera, East London.
Japan has launched the latest version of its famous bullet train. Hundreds of passengers were on board the Hayabusa, or Falcon, as it pulled out of Tokyo Station on Saturday. It now travels at up to 300 kilometers an hour. That'll be raised gradually to 320 by the end of next year. The Shinkansen high-speed train has been around since 1964. The Falcon is the first new model in 14 years. Thousands of tourists have joined Rio de Janeiro's 6 million residents for the city's annual carnival festivities.
Carnaval da cidade maravilhosa. Viva o Rio de Janeiro! Viva!
Celebrations got underway with the traditional handing of the keys to the city to King Momo, the carnival's symbolic head. He then declared what's called the biggest party on earth officially open. On Sunday and Monday, Rio's samba schools will compete against each other as Carnival reaches its climax. A reminder, you can keep up to date, though, with all the news on our website. There it is, aljazeera.net/English. This is Al Jazeera, the latest now from the uprising in Libya. A surgeon from the city of AlJazeera has told Al Jazeera that rebel fighters have repelled an attack by forces loyal to Muammar Gaddafi. But he says there have been up to 200 casualties after several hours of heavy fighting. It's just 50 kilometers west of the capital, Tripoli.
Now I'm at the center of the Al-Zawiya, what is known the Martyrs Square, and what we're seeing now is a large number of the people living in the city are gathering in the center of the city after they managed to push back the Gaddafi armed forces, and they have been pushed outside the city. When they were pushed back, we managed to get out of the homes, and we courageously, the fighters managed to push them back and get to the center of the square, and I helped administer first aid to a number of casualties, and I asked a number of colleagues who are in the square. There is between 150 to 200 injured so far.
Anti-government fighters say all's quiet in the town of Ras Lanuf after they won control on Friday. The oil port is situated between Tripoli and Benghazi. And these are the latest pictures from Brega in the east of Libya. It's a key oil hub. Witnesses say at least 24 people were killed in clashes there on Friday. The rebels say they're now in complete control of the city and its oil terminal. And doctors say at least 27 people have been killed by an explosion at an arms dump in the eastern city of Benghazi. It's not known what caused the blast. In Tripoli, meanwhile, tear gas and rubber bullets were used to break up an anti-Gaddafi protest after Friday prayers, but a rally by the leader's supporters went on all afternoon. And briefly, in other news, several people have been injured after protesters fought with police in Egypt's second largest city, Alexandria. This amateur video is said to show protesters ransacking the headquarters of the state security agency. They say police were trying to destroy documents linked to past abuses. Well, those are the main headlines here. The news continues on Al Jazeera.